So I'm back home for a few days in the wonderful country of Wales, and today I'm going to catch up with an old buddy of mine, Gareth, and talk about him and his invisible BFF. But what is PTSD? Well, PTSD, according to the NHS, is a post-traumatic stress disorder, is an anxiety disorder caused by very stressful, frightening, or distressing events. Someone with PTSD often relives the traumatic event through nightmares and flashbacks and may experience feelings of isolation, irritability, and guilt. So I've known Gareth since 1998, which means our relationship is 21 years old. That makes me feel old. Technically, I mean, our relationship is legal to drink in the States, and it probably would if it was a person. But like any sort of ex-Marine meathead, we'll find him here most days.
Tonight we will fight for the right to stay alive, 'cause you know we live for the music. We are breathing love. And tonight we will fight for the rhythm of our life, and we'll always keep on dancing. We are breathing love. We're fighting for love tonight.
I think that'll go up there. This is Gareth.
Hi.
I just give him like a sort of textbook definition of what PTSD is. What would you say PTSD is?
Such a tough question. It's probably better to describe it in incidents. So, for example, my last sort of trigger attack was driving down a road, happy, no problem at all. Stone flicks up, smashes my windscreen. No problem at all. I pull into the side of the road, I'm fine. Then all of a sudden, my subconscious, my fight or flight response takes over, and I turn into this crying mess where my heart's racing, where I'm unable to control my emotions, and my brain is working in a different time and place to what my body is. So I'm sat there fully aware of the irrational thoughts I'm having with everybody going around their daily business, but my body's not letting me let go. So my heart's at 120, 130 beats per second, my pupils are pinpoint, I'm emotional because my body's seen this stone hit the windscreen, and the last time that happened I was shot and the bullet hit the windscreen of the car. So my body goes straight back into the past, into its fight or flight response.
So you get like literally like taken back in time.
Yeah, and I know I'm not there. I know I'm not there, but my brain, my subconscious, is acting as if I am. It's acting as if I need to get the fuck out of there, or you know, stay and fight. And that's the best way to describe it. Really, it's not. I couldn't really put words to it. You get addicted to being away. You get addicted to sort of having this high level of adrenaline all the time, and being constantly on the edge and living life in a way that there's no tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know, and you're living life for today, and when you're constantly at that high level of adrenaline seeking and just pushing yourself forward, it takes its toll on your brain, and it can't process information properly. You know, I've always described it to people in a way that, do you know, like a computer, okay?
Yeah.
Not exactly how computers work, but in a computer you have a hard drive and you have RAM.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your RAM deals with the now. It deals with the instant memories, and then eventually that goes into the hard drive when you save a file.
Yeah.
So your brain works in a similar sort of way, in this best way to describe it. So when you're going through your day, we fill up our RAM.
Yep.
When we go to sleep at night, the RAM transfers into our brain.
Yep.
Simple. RAM's cleared, start tomorrow as fresh. When you're constantly on edge and you're constantly having this surge of adrenaline, everything stays in your RAM, and you start living your life in the RAM. So no matter what you do, whether there's a bang or a thud, your brain is automatically triggering that part of the brain. So
Right,
it thinks
okay.
you're there.
Yeah.
You don't allow, it doesn't allow you to
So
process
it
the image.
keeps like all those sort of like those shocking moments that you've experienced. It keeps that sort of almost like easy access.
Yeah, easy access, so that you're able to run or
Yeah.
to fight. And that's how I try and explain it to people. You know, it's kind of like the inability to control your emotions and control that sort of subconscious.
Something takes over. Like I mean, not on the same level sort of thing, but I had an anxiety attack when we went to Halong Bay. We were going out to Halong Bay. I knew how far out Halong Bay was from every kind of medical facility that I needed to be at the time, and this was like a week or 2 weeks after I'd had my bleed, and I just couldn't control what I was feeling at that point. I just had a complete meltdown. I was like, no, I can't go. Just literally sort of I mean, like I say, it's nothing compared to like the sort of action that you've seen as a Marine, and you know, doing your sort of security stuff as well. It's on another level, but I can kind of understand what you're saying with that.
Yeah, and people say, oh, it's not the level, but I think mental health is, whether you've seen active service here or whether you've done this or whether you've done that, mental health is all the same. Whether it's for you or for me, it's no different, because it's the way our brains work, and you can't differentiate. Just because I was a thrill seeker in a way and I got addicted to war, and I got addicted to going away and going into these war zones, doesn't make it any less severe than the anxiety you had and you suffered with a life-threatening incident that you went through. You know, you had a bleed on the brain. That's threatening your life. So your body, your brain reacts in exactly the same way as somebody shooting me. You know, there's
I suppose you're right.
There's no difference, and people often say it. You know, it's not like what you've been through. Well, it is. It's exactly like what I've been through. Just because I chose the route that I went, and I put myself in those situations, doesn't deter the fact that it's no different for you and I. And I honestly believe that, and I think that's kind of like what people need to understand. Mental health doesn't matter whether you've been to every war or you've done this or you've done that. Mental health is mental health, and we're all exactly the same. Our brains work in the same way, and one incident that might not bother me could bother somebody else in a massive way, and it's important to realise that and be accepting of that, I think.
I've known you 21 years.
That's crazy, isn't it? Yeah.
21 years. It's not like 1998 we met each other working in Halfords. So I've seen you go from like this whippersnapper teenager. I've seen you go into the training where you were like, oh, gung-ho, I'm a Marine now. I saw you sort of like, you know, you were discharged from the Marine, medically discharged. You then went into the security. You now train into the physician's associate. Yeah. So you've got that unique skill set of that you could kill someone, but you could also bring them back to life.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I've seen you go through all these stages, you know, and when I saw you come out of the Marines, I mean that obviously devastated you because the Marines were such a big part of your life.
Yeah.
And then you went on to that security like out in the Middle East and stuff like that. And I could see like you changing through that time sort of thing, and I knew that something wasn't quite right. But at the end of the day, I didn't know what to do. So how would you advise someone out there to sort of to act or behave or approach someone who they think is in a similar position?
Yeah, it's really hard because it's only recently that I was looking at an old post on Instagram last night actually, and there's a post on there from 2 years ago, and in there it said something about being stronger and being more self-aware, and I don't think that me coming out of the other side of all this started then. I thought it started a little bit later. So what I'm trying to get at is it wasn't until I became very self-aware of myself that I actually was able to take a few steps forward. So if I put myself back into the situation where I wasn't self-aware, I was probably quite an angry man.
The amount of times we've had to leave pubs and clubs because of that statement is unbelievable.
So yeah, I was probably quite an angry man and very irrational. I didn't have the ability to see what I was doing.
Yeah.
And often what fueled the fire and stoked the dragon or poked him a little
Yeah,
bit was the fact that people would have a go at me for it.
Yeah.
And I felt very threatened. And what does a threatened animal do? It either fights back or it runs away. I was trained to kill people. I was trained to go to war. I was a threatened animal. I'd attack. And I don't expect anyone to feel sorry for anyone like that in those situations. I should have been far more aware of who I was and what I was doing. But often, if somebody's just nice, be a human being, be nice, go, don't matter, don't worry, and walk away, like all grown-ups should do, half those situations would have never happened.
Yeah.
Because I would have gone straight back to who I was,
Yeah.
the fun guy that we were going out drinking and having a good time. And those situations, we wouldn't have been kicked out of those clubs or pubs because I wouldn't have had to fight. And I don't expect people to, we're all human beings. We're all, as men, we can all be alpha male in certain respects. And I don't expect anyone to sort of go, oh, he's ex-military, he's, I'm not going to fight back down, because you lose sort of your bravado. But what I'm trying to say is, if we're just nice to each other, half these problems won't ever happen. So if somebody that's struggling, somebody who is struggling with PTSD, just be a friend. I mean, that's all he ever was. He was just a friend, and he could have unfriended me, let's use that word, on plenty of occasions, but he stuck by me, and he was very sensible and normal, and he didn't force matters. He didn't tell me, Gareth, look, you're being an absolute idiot here. He just supported me and let me find my own way. Because I think if we push people into help, or we push people into trying to change their ways, they often rebel. So yes, I didn't realise I needed the help. I did, subconsciously, I really did. But what Jamie did was just help me find a way, didn't force it on me. And I think that's what you need to do for people that are suffering.
I mean, from my point of view, I mean, I didn't really know what to do. I mean, I'm not trained as a psychologist or anything like that to sort of like, oh, I think you need to do this, guy. All I knew was that you were going off to probably some of the shittiest situations that most people will ever encounter in their life, sort of thing. And like, you'd phone me up on like a Thursday or a Wednesday, whatever, I'm back, fancy going for a pint. And my usual response was, well, actually, I'm out on Friday, but we're in Cardiff, do you want to come join us? Because it was never a case of no, it was just a case of, you're back, excellent. Because the other thing was that you going off to these places, I didn't know where you were going half the time, but I knew where you were going was incredibly dangerous. I may not see you again. You know, so for like a couple of hours having a pint with you here and there, it was just a case of, that's what I can give. Like, it's a bit of normality, and I think that's what everybody seeks, is that sense of normality. Coming through this sort of thing, a lot of people didn't know what to say to me when I was going through it, and it was just like, but just, I'm still me. Yeah. I'm still me. I'm still who I am. I just want you to talk to me. That's all I want you to do. Yeah. You know? And look, I didn't know what the hell to do. I couldn't go, oh, Gareth, psychologically, there's something wrong with you. I think you need help.
But you did exactly the right thing, and it's bringing it back to normality. I mean, somebody I know from the TV show SS who does, when Ollie Ollerton, he said on the show once, he said that there's so much more peace in war. And what I found was I was a lot more peaceful in these places. And then when I came home, there was no peace. But by you just going, yeah, let's have a beer, it brought me back to normality, it grounded me, and it really just helped me, just try and keep my feet on the ground for those short few weeks where I was back, where I was itching to get away and itching to get back to a war zone. And it's just trying to ground people and go, you're not in a war zone now. I mean, I remember I went to the MH17 plane crash site. I was there, and we were getting shot at. There were shells going off. This in Ukraine, during the Ukraine-Russian
that's
war.
when you come back from that was the worst I'd ever seen you.
Yeah, and it was horrendous. It was the worst war I've ever been to, and I remember leaving on a going out on a patrol, getting shot, getting blown out, bombs going off here and there. That afternoon, getting on a train, getting back to Kiev. Next morning, I was walking through the streets of Cardiff.
That's so surreal.
And you just, and it's like, you can't, your brain's fried. Your brain doesn't know how to react. I mean, you take driving down the road at 70 miles an hour as norm.
Yeah.
The amount of information your brain is processing is phenomenal. It's through the roof.
Yeah.
And it's tiring. So if you think about the same, going from being blown up, going from being shot at, going and seeing dead bodies strewn across the floor, and then coming down and walking down a street and you hear a bang or a thud, it's going to send you spiraling out of control. But going back to how to help, you know, what you did was just make everything normal, and you didn't treat me any differently. You just treated me as Gareth. You treated me as the 16-year-old boy that we grew up together in Halford, you know.
It's saying that, I remember that, I think it was like the first weekend you come back from your Marine training. You come back, you're like, "Rah, rah, rah, I'm a Marine." Rah. I was like, shut the f up, will you? And just be Gareth. And you went, oh, okay. And you were Gareth again, kind of thing. But it just took that kind of like, what you did, just chill out, chill your boots, sort of thing. And that happened. Right, saying that, should we go get a pint?
Beer.
Yeah,
Good.
go.
Let's go.
Cheers. So, for you, what was the turning point from like being this guy who subconsciously knew that he had something wrong with him, to put it that way, to, you know, right, I've got to get help, I've got to work my way out of this.
Yeah. I mean, I've actually written a blog about this, and it's called "A Sunflower Finds Light No Matter How Dark the Day."
We'll post a link.
A turning point for me was winter was always a tough time. I don't know why. Winter, obviously, there's less sunlight. We get a little bit more depressed. Everyone's more susceptible to depression, sort of winter time, you know. And every winter's always been a little bit more of a problem. And not last Christmas before, so sort of December 2017, I found myself at the edge of Southern Down Cliffs, ready to just go, yeah, fuck this. Like, I can't control what's going on in my head. I can't control how I feel. I can't control my emotions, my anger, everything about me I can't control, and everything's controlling me. And it was like I wanted to scream, but no noise would come out, and it was fucking horrible. And I sat there, just this, I just can't be bothered. And I didn't. I flicked a coin, and I sat there with a coin.
You flicked a coin.
Heads or tails. And yeah, let's just say I'm still here today. And,
So because of the flick of a coin, you're sat here with me today?
Yeah.
Fucking hell, man.
And I went to the doctor's the next morning, and yeah, and here I am, and I'm a different person, like just totally different person. Just started to become more self-aware about who I was. I went for lots of help. I actually went to do something called EMDR, which is called eye movement desensitization and reprogramming.
Is this like a flashing lights thing?
Yeah. So basically what you do is you have a counsellor, and you basically make a trauma line, you discuss all your problems, but not too in depth, and you discuss them. And then we decided on certain things that were the main triggers for how I was. And then you sit down and you look at this board, and the light passes back and forth.
Okay.
Like this. And she described it to me as, okay, think about it as a speeding train through the event, through the situation. You don't need to talk about it as you go. You just think about a speeding train, and every now and again I'm going to stop you and say, how do you feel? And I was like, what is this? You know, what is this woo-woo magic? You know, it's you know, this is,
what is this hippie witchcraft?
Yeah, and it was just ridiculous. And as I went through the first session, I sort of found myself going further and further and further down this dark path of being actually in the situation, actually being there.
Yeah.
And at one stage, right at the end, I found myself on the floor in the corner, crying my eyes out, just didn't know where I was, what I was doing. and all it's doing is encouraging your brain to access sort of rapid eye movement. And it's how we process, going back to sort of processing, going from RAM to your brain, is when we go to sleep and we do this rapid eye movement. We can't do rapid eye movement when we take lots of drugs, when we drink lots, when we don't sleep properly.
Yeah.
So that's why when you're in these situations, you're not sleeping properly as well, that it builds up and builds up because you're constantly in a state of alert. So, I was going to bed with a body armour on at some stage. I'm not going to fall asleep properly. I'm not going to go into REM sleep. So what EMDR does is it sort of encourages this REM pattern so that you can process those memories. And
whilst you're awake?
Whilst you're awake,
right, okay.
And I had quite a few sessions of EMDR, and as I was going on, I stopped crying, I stopped having the feelings, I stopped feeling cold in the middle of summer. During the session, you'd be sat there and you go think about Timex, and Timex would be being sort of ankle deep in snow while getting shot at in Ukraine or something like that.
Right.
And at the time I'd be feeling shivering, it was like 30 degrees C, and it was a bit noisy. I'm trying to do a video.
Jesus Christ.
And as the more sessions I go through, the less I was going into those states. It's moving those memories that can't get out of the RAM into the hard drive, and it's allowing them the passage from that area into your main brain so that you can process, and it's just simply PTSD is the inability to actually process the memory correctly.
Why do you think that is? Why do you think it gets stuck?
Because
I like asking the toughy ones.
Yeah.
Why there's probably a reason for it.
Okay.
But
so I think for me, if I think about me, I go back to my addiction to war. Being so much more peaceful in a wartime situation. So much more peace in war. And I love that. I love that because it tells me, it described everything for me that it was. When I was back at war, I functioned better.
Yeah.
So why does it get stuck? Because we don't allow ourselves to relax as human beings. We often get caught up in the moment. We get caught up in our work. We forget about being happy. And I think the crux of life is, it's not money, it's not X, it's not Y, it's not Z, it's about being happy. And we often forget that happiness is the key to everything. And as soon as you start thinking, I want to be happy and I want to make a change, then you can start processing those memories and start moving forward with your life. And I want to be happy. I sat there, I flipped a coin, and I told myself, I'm a man of, if I want to do something, I'll do it. Being a ordinary splendour, 32,
of course you're going to do it.
32 and a half weeks of the hardest training in the world, I don't give up. I never do. And I flipped that coin, and if it had turned out the other way, I would have gone. And I would have done it. And I can look back and I used to cry about it a lot. Like, if you had asked me this 6 months ago, I probably still would have been tearful, and I almost did. I almost did then, and it's it's a massive changing point in my life. And I don't advocate for anyone to flick a coin.
Do you still have the coin?
I still have the coin. Yeah, it's in my car actually.
You're keeping it safe then.
I should probably...
The coin that changed everything is in my car. Just in case I need it for parking.
I should probably buy a lottery ticket with it or something. It's a pound coin. But I think that's... Yeah.
So that was the turnover. Because I remember you telling me this last summer that you almost ended it all kind of thing. But you decided to get help, and... Because it was at the barbecue of Richie's house.
Yeah.
And I remember
Richie's dad thinks so.
Yeah,
sorry. Anyway.
Well, we won't say that because it's kind of racist. But no, you told me that night sort of thing, and you said that you got help and stuff like that. I remember coming away from that and saying to Lucy about that sort of thing, and that I was so glad that you'd finally sort of got to that point where you're like, yes, I do need help, I recognise it, and I am getting help. And I mean, if you talked to yourself, like, because the coin went the other way, I mean, man, that would have been awful. Absolutely awful.
Yeah, and it's not, yeah, my pain would have been over, but the pain for 100, I'm bigging myself up there.
For 100,000 people, would have been awful. The pain would have been unbearable.
You know, it would have been, and my son would have been raised without a father. I mean, he's got an excellent father figure in his life now, but he would have been raised with me. Yeah, I've had lots of money, I've had this, I've had that, but money doesn't buy happiness.
Well, no, but it does buy a comfortable form of misery. So, like, you could be the most unhappy person on the planet, but you can have a huge house and jet skis, because jet skis are fun.
Yeah. Flick of a coin and a jet ski.
Yeah, could have had jet skis. See, that was your problem. You didn't have enough jet skis in your life.
Probably not. I do love a jet ski though.
Jet skis
but
are
don't your
fun.
forearms. Oh my God.
Do you know what I hate is like when you go over the wave like that and you come down and your bollocks just slam in. That is the worst part about it.
Worst pain.
Just there where that slams, that, yeah.
Worst pain in the world. But yeah. That's pretty much it, mate.
Happiness is the key.
Happiness is the key.
Hopefully there's people like watching this now. If there's someone watching this and like they were where you were 2 years ago sort of thing, what sort of advice could you give those people?
First of all, feel free to give me a message on Instagram. You know,
We'll put that link below as well.
Yeah, I've got no problem with taking messages like that all day long. I think for men, I can only talk for men, is to be open and to talk about it. Don't hold it in like we think that we have to. Talk to somebody, pick up the phone, give somebody a call and say, look, I'm not happy, I need to talk about stuff, I need to get stuff off my chest. Women do it all the time. You know, they go out with all their friends and they're able to communicate openly and freely about their feelings, and they get all this pent-up anger off their chest, and they seem to be 90% of the time okay with that. You know, obviously women suffer with mental health issues as well, and you know, and you know, and that's very well recognised, but
it's more socially acceptable for women to share their feelings than it is for men.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing you need to do is just talk to someone, just pick up the phone, just ring somebody. And that's why I say, if you want to give me a message on Instagram, I've got no problem with that at all. And just have a chat, just tell somebody how you feel. If you've got nobody to talk to, Samaritans, you know, you can text the Samaritans in the UK. You know, you don't even have to pick up the phone and talk to them. Just go to hospital, speak to somebody, do whatever you can just to offload those problems. I went to my GP. My GP was phenomenal. Sat there, cried my eyes out to him. He just went, okay. And the weight just lifted off my shoulders on that first. The next morning I went and I worked myself up into a frenzy about going. I felt like a failure. I felt horrendous.
Yeah, I mean, being a Marine as well, you're told that, you know, you have to do this, you have to do that, you should be, you know, you should be independent and strong, you should get through this on your own kind of thing. But the fact of the matter is, stuff like this you can't.
No, you can't. Point blank, you can't. And, you know, after I had literally spoken to the poor guy for 15 minutes of an 8-minute appointment, I think I went on to 20 in the end. The weight just lifted off my shoulders and I just felt like a different person already. That was the stepping stone to the rest of my life, and you know, I can't thank that guy enough. And yes, it was his job, you know, as it's my job when I'm in hospital as well, but we do these jobs because we actually genuinely care, and he genuinely cared, and he took the time to listen and he pointed me in the right direction. And your GP is invaluable, and they will always point you in the right direction.
And it's always, I mean, it's often, from what I found and from other people that I know, sort of thing, it's often easier to go and speak with someone you don't know. Because you don't feel that personal relationship with them. You don't feel that there will be a judgment from them. I mean, at the end of the day, that's kind of their job for you to go to and go, right, this is my problem. What do you suggest? Kind of thing. And they can do it. I suppose they can do it unbiased as well, because obviously if you come to me and said, this is the problem I got, I'd quite happily listen to you, but I wouldn't have a clue what to do after that. Other than, perhaps you need to find some help kind of thing. And I'd, quite happily help you try and find it, but I wouldn't know where to send you. So sometimes, speaking to someone who you don't know is definitely more beneficial than speaking to someone you do know. But then I suppose it comes down to how comfortable you feel doing that. And like you say, I suppose it's breaking that barrier as well, to actually say what you're going through to someone, just as long as it's someone. I mean, that's the toughest step.
And what worked for me might not work for everyone, and I think that's important to say as well. For me, it's about realization that you're in a dark place, that you need to find that light and to find that help. And then it's about talking and finding the right help that's best suited for you. EMDR might not suit somebody else. I knew that CBT, cognitive behavioural therapy, wouldn't suit me because I didn't at the time want to talk about everything because it made me feel very low. And as hard as EMDR is, talking about stuff made me feel worse. It put me into a depression and put me into this low stupor. So it's about realization. It's about finding help, and then finding the right help that suits you, and just being open. I don't mind. I'm so emotional now. Like honestly, I'll cry at the smallest of things. I cry at chick flicks now, mate.
I've said that in one of my previous videos, that it's okay to cry. I mean, we're like I said, because you're a male, you're a man. You should be strong, you should be tough and stuff like that. And the fact of the matter is, like going through the process that I went, like brain surgery, recovery and stuff like that. I mean, from my point of being diagnosed to probably about 6 months after it, I don't think a day went by where I didn't cry at least once.
And it's totally acceptable too.
Yes, it is. I mean, and once you've done that, like you pull yourself back together again. You're like, right, okay, and you feel much better for it because you've had this outlet, and it's just
this release.
It's gone right. Okay, I've had that moment. Right, pick myself back up again. Right, what do I need to do now? Like, go, and off you go. Cool. It's freezing cold in here. Let's go somewhere else. And let's talk about your photography process. Yeah.
Sweet.
Cool. Right. So let's talk about your photography and your poetry as well, because you've got an Instagram page. You've got quite a few followers now, but your photography that you put on there has a very sort of specific style. I mean, there's definitely like a darkness to the images that you have there, but in each of those images there's like a ray of light coming down from like the clouds, or there's something in there to sort of like almost to spark hope. I'm assuming you're aware that you're doing that.
I am aware, and it's trying to sort of, it goes back to that blog post I wrote, a sunflower finds light no matter how dark the day. And if I think about that, it's very true, and I think it's what I'm trying to get across in my words, my poetry words, and the way it's written, and in my photos, is that no matter how dark it might get, there's light everywhere. Whether it's 2 o'clock in the morning, you can still find light. There's light in every bit of darkness, and there's no reason why you have to turn the lights off completely. There's always a way to find the glimmer of hope and to move forward, and I think that's really important, and one of the aspects of my photography and one of the aspects of my poetry as well. I try and talk about feelings as openly as I can, and try and have a end goal, a moment at the end where I go, so despite all that, this is how we move forward.
So this is the challenge. here it is, this is it in a nutshell, and it may be the hardest thing you ever do, but you've still got to keep moving forward. As well, if you don't, then you can't. Then that's where it ends. Isn't it?
Yeah.
That's where the coin toss goes the wrong way, I suppose.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is. And we make our own journey in life. We, you know, I have this love-hate relationship with the word fate. You know, I've got some feelings that our lives are laid out for us.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I think we make our own fate. We put ourselves in situations, and we determine what road that we're going to take.
Yeah.
And sometimes, as Jay-Z once said, you get to a fork.
Out of all the people, you are quoting Jay-Z. That's brilliant.
You get to a fork in the road, and sometimes you just have to go straight.
Jay-Z is a wiser man than I expected. I mean, I was thinking girls, girls, girls. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
I don't even know where that came from, to be honest, mate.
Came from the heart, man. It
Came from the heart.
That's what it was.
Jay-Z. Poof.
But like your photography and your photography, is it like a conduit to help you further, or is it just a passion that you're following, or is it a bit of both?
It's a bit of both, really. I've always been into photography since I was sort of like 14, 15, and photography and sort of, not necessarily the lengths I go to now with my images, but the whole framing of an image has always been part of my life. The way I see things, the way I see the world, I often see it as how would I frame that in a shot, and whether that's birds flying across the sky, whatever, it's just how I see the world. And now my photography is more about helping myself and helping others, but I think it allows me the time to sit down and really analyse my thoughts, and it helps me reflect. So I'll go on a long walk, or I'll do something, and while I'm walking, while I'm there, I'm thinking about how I feel.
Yeah.
And then after I've looked at the image, I've taken the image, I've looked at it, I've processed it in a way that I want. I then sit down and think about those feelings again and try and put them into words to make a poem, to try and sort of epitomise how I felt at that one moment, and that really helps me to move forward, because it allows me the time to reflect.
Yeah.
And I think reflection it's important to moving forward. You need to think about what you've done, think about where you've come from, in order to be able to move forward.
Yeah. But are you like a lot of creative people where you're just like, that's not good enough. That's just not good enough. There's that little bit there which I wish I'd taken in this kind of way, and therefore it would look better. So I need to not do that and publish it.
Yeah, I've got so many images that I don't publish, and even the ones I do publish, I'm like, hate it, hate it. No, my work I think's terrible, and that's probably my biggest downfall, is my inability to see the quality in my own work. It's really hard, though. It's really hard as somebody that's creative to go, yeah, I really love that. And I think that's how often we look at life as well, because we think about all the aspects in our life that we don't like, instead of the aspects in our lives that are truly beautiful and worth living for. And I think it's a two-page sort of thing where, I don't like my work, but I publish it anyway, because my life is wonderful now. My life is amazing. Yeah. And I might see gaps in my life that I can still improve on, like I can see gaps in my photography that I can improve on, but it's still a wonderful photo, and it's still a wonderful life. And it's just having that realization that, I can improve all the time. I can still improve, but it doesn't stop me from posting what I've taken.
Yeah, cool. Well, I'm glad you're still here, and I'm glad you're still posting.
So am I, mate. And I'm glad we're doing this.
Yeah.
2 years later from the coin flick.
Yeah, it is. It's quite impressive. Yeah. It's good to know you're still here. I'm glad we've done this. And I mean, the only reason I've done this is because I know you, and I know you're at that stage now where you are comfortable with going, yep, I want to talk about this, and and hopefully help other people. And I mean, that's the whole point of me doing this video with you, is that hopefully people will see this, and if they are in the similar situation to what you were 2 years ago, or even 4 years ago, whatever, they may use this as sort of like not a guide, but perhaps a little bit of a nudge to go, right, okay, yeah, I need to sort this out,
Yeah.
or I need to do something.
And it's, we touched on it earlier, but it's not just ex-military. It really isn't. I mean, this can affect anyone.
Yeah.
And it really can. So it doesn't matter even if you think that what you've been through isn't worthy to feeling the way that you do, it is.
Yeah, you should
It
seek
is.
help regardless.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool, excellent. Cheers.
Cheers.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Sweet.
Mate, that's going to be about 30 minutes worth of the footage.